It is only April 28th, and we are barely a month into the baseball season, but one specific comment from Bryce Harper while the Phillies took 2 of 3 at Wrigley Field possibly sets something up for this upcoming offseason and the biggest free agent on the market. We're going to get into all of that today on the newest episode of Phillies Digest. But before we do that, I do want to remind you guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Just 35% of our viewers that are watching have subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell next to it. Myself and Sean Bernard are uploading over 1 video a day right now for you guys. We're averaging about 8-9 a week to continue to pump Phillies content out for you guys. And we want you to know exactly when we are uploading, because this is the only place for Phillies content on YouTube. So the Phillies took 2 or 3 from the Chicago Cubs this weekend, but I wouldn't say that was the biggest headline. I wouldn't say Aaron Nola was the biggest headline. I wouldn't say a bounce back save from Jordan Romano was the biggest headline. I would say the biggest headline actually happened before Saturday's game. There was an article from The Athletic, and it was reposted by Ken Rosenthal and written by a Chicago Cubs beat writer, of Bryce Harper talking about the city of Chicago and how actually, and he did preface in the article that this was obviously no disrespect to Philadelphia, but before he signed his contract with Philly, Chicago was at the top of sort of his wish list. He always wanted to play at Wrigley Field. He obviously went on to say that he wouldn't change a thing about how his career has gone. He is insanely happy in Philly and never wants to leave here. But he said something about former trade target for the Phillies, Kyle Tucker, and impending free agent. I'm going to get into this article here a little bit from Tim Kelly. There is a pretty good amount of words, but my guy Tim from On Pattison did a very nice job of sort of paraphrasing this article for us. He says, one thing you learn covering Bryce Harper is that nothing he says is by accident. The 2-time NL MVP has been in the public eye since he was a teenager and is about as well media trained as you could be. Harper knows how to downplay a juicy question if he isn't interested in giving a newsy response, and knows how to give a newsy response to a non-juicy question if something is on his mind. That's some background before we discuss a recent conversation that Harper had with Patrick Mooney, who covers the Chicago Cubs for The Athletic. Mooney's conversation with Harper, in which he suggested the Cubs were his number 1 potential destination when he became a free agent after the 2018 season, is worth your time. This is where it kind of starts to get a little juicy. Basically, what I'm about to tell you is Bryce Harper might already be starting his campaign to get Kyle Tucker to Philadelphia in free agency. However, Harper's love for Chicago is well established at this point. So is the fact that, frankly, the Phillies were a bit lucky that most of the usual suspects sat out of Harper's free agency. What's most interesting for our purposes is what Harper had to say when he was asked about Kyle Tucker, who's had a massive start to his contract here after an offseason trade that sent him from the Houston Astros to the Cubs. And I quote from Bryce Harper, "He's one of my favorite players in the league. He's a big moment player, a red light kind of player. It's a lot of fun to watch the way he does it. He's very impressive. It's kind of weird to see a superstar player like that get traded from a really good team to another really good team. Great for Cubs fans and great for the team." The flip side of that is when Harper's been asked about an impending free agent that he seemingly doesn't believe is going to be a Philly. Harper did go on to say that he knows and he believes that Kyle Tucker is going to make a lot of money. But this is kind of where I start to question, because this to me seems like a sneaky first pitch for next year's free agent year. Obviously, Kyle Tucker is the biggest free agent on the market next year. Barring an extension from the Cubs that I really don't think is going to happen this season, I don't think there's any way that Kyle Tucker signs a contract this offseason strictly because he knows how much money he's going to make this coming winter. Obviously, yes, he could go back to Chicago and make that money, but he's going to want to see his options because he's going to have a lot of them. He is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. He's had an awesome start to his season, but this is what Harper said about Shohei Ohtani in his contract year. Harper laughed when the question was asked, but he shot down the idea of trying to lure Ohtani to Philadelphia. No, I mean, he's going to go where he feels best. If that's Anaheim or anywhere else, he's going to make the best decision for him and his family and himself as well. Wherever he goes, they're going to get a great player, a great person as well. And I think not just myself, but everybody's kind of excited to see what happens in his career. He would then go on to say that, so this is the sort of end of that quote. He said he's got a really good opportunity next year to make some pretty good coin. That's what he said about Kyle Tucker. But then you have to remember what he said about Trey Turner. Back in 2022, when Turner was a part of the Dodgers, he said, I think Trey Turner is one of the most underrated players in the game. He's one of those guys that just goes under the radar. He's one of the best shortstops in the game. I'm excited to see where he goes. This is screaming to me that Bryce Harper is already starting his early campaign of Kyle Tucker to Philadelphia. Obviously, Kyle Schwarber is in a contract year. Max Kepler is only signed for 1 year. Nick Castellanos will be entering a contract year next year. So next year is his first year, or his last year under contract. The Phillies are going to have holes in their outfield over the next 2 years. I wouldn't say it's a lock at all that Max Kepler resigns. So there could be a hole in left field. Could Castellanos be a trade? I don't think they're going to trade Castellanos at all, but obviously we've heard some of the Castellanos rumors over the last few months before the season started throughout the winter. Bottom line here is the Phillies are going to have holes in their outfield. And if Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton truly think this team needs one more star that slugs and can hit for contact and hit for average and get on base and walk a lot and hit a lot of doubles, Kyle Tucker is one of the most well-rounded hitters in baseball. He's going to make a lot of money. There's a good chance he probably gets towards the $500 million mark. This name I know sounds familiar, obviously, to a lot of you guys because there were some Kyle Tucker trade rumors back in the offseason, and Kyle Tucker was one of the biggest names traded. More and more it is appearing, this is what I wrote for Crossing Broad, back while there were rumors of some sort of trade rumors with the Phillies and Aiden Miller or Andrew Painter or Justin Crawford potentially being in some of these deals. I wrote this for Crossing Broad a few months ago. I said more and more it is appearing. So this was a quote. I can't remember exactly who it is from. It's somebody from the New York Post. I apologize. More and more it is appearing as if the Astros are open to trading Kyle Tucker and the Yankees are among the teams most seriously. The Yankees, blah, 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 blah. The Phillies also had been among the teams that at least inquired and are trying to find a package that would work with the Astros. The Astros are prioritizing Major League ready corner infielders and starting pitching if they move Tucker. What was big about that report in the offseason was that at the time, Alec Bohm was being flirted around in a lot of rumors. That would have been the Major League ready corner infielder. And Ranger Suarez heading into a contract year was also being thrown in trade talks. That would have been the Major League starting pitcher. Obviously, one of Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford would have probably had to have been in that package. And it would have only been for 1 year of Kyle Tucker. But now there's potential this offseason that the Phillies could go after Tucker and not have to give up any prospects for him because rather it being a trade, it would be a free agent signing. And this would be the player you are getting. Looking down some of these stats, a 917 OPS in 2021, a 993 OPS in 2024. He's been off to a hot start with the Cubs, 7 home runs, 25 RBIs in his first 29 games as a Cub, 25 runs scored, 33 hits, 18 strikeouts, and 21 walks already in 29 games. This guy's a superstar. And if the Phillies have any chance of getting him this offseason, they need to be all in. But once again, I thought these comments said a lot this weekend from Bryce Harper because I think this is a guy that Bryce Harper would love to have in the lineup with him, Trey Turner, and all the other Phillies. What do you guys think about this? What do those comments from Bryce say to you? Because to me, it feels like Bryce is already starting his early free agent pitch for Kyle Tucker. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, if you have not hit that subscribe button already, please do so. Just 35% of our viewers have subscribed to our channel. So far, this has been the newest episode of Phillies Digest. My name is Luke Arcaini, and I will see you guys next time.